Hey everybody, it's Adam from IHP, and we are up to episode 8 of JC Unplugged. This will be our last one for a few weeks because Carlos has got some business out in Asia, and I just wanted to give him an opportunity just to tell us a little bit about what's going on out there. This actually, I think, is your 6th year in a row going out to Asia, so you got a great relationship with whoever you're meeting out there.
Ruben Payan has been our Asian rep for the better part of 6, going on 7 years now. And I'm heading over to Beijing. Right from there, we're going to Bangkok for Asia Fit, which is in Thailand, obviously. And then we're doing 3 or 4 days. We're doing the pre and post conference symposiums, plus 3 days of the conference. From there, we fly to Taipei, Taiwan, and to certify coaches on our functional training specifically for baseball. From there, we go to Beijing, and we're going to spend 1 week at the Shin company that makes all of our bands for our new models and our new patents for 2016. From there, we go from Shindao, we go back to Beijing, and we do an octagon certification, and then we're back here for 3 days, and then we go to Ecuador to do our personal training certification. So it's a very, very busy October. Next week before Asia, I go to Mexico for stem cell therapy and stem cell research with David Wolf, Hulk Hogan, David Wojnarowski. So I've got a very, very busy October.
It may be more than a few weeks before we're back with JC.
Yes.
So, all right, let's go back. Let's get into this. We've got a handful of questions. Episode 8. What are some of your go-to exercises for rotational athletes?
Rotational athletes, the octagon exercises. Long range and short range. Basically, it's pulls this way, and pulls this way, pulls down, straight down like swimmers, and right to left. So it's basically all directions. Up, diagonals from the bottom up, diagonals from the top down, horizontal, and straight down. Okay, so that takes care of the core with hip hinging. So if I want hip hinging, hip mobility, I do the long versions, which are down here. I can pivot, not pivot. I can shimmy, depending on who I'm training. I'll allow more pivot or less pivot. If I just want core stiffness, which is what I want as well, so I'll do both on different days, I'll do the same octagon short version. Okay, one of the easiest ways is to take a medicine ball and you go in here, short, here, short, here, short, and here, short. If you do it with a cable, you have a lot more direct line of opposition, if you will. So you're going in here, from the top, bottom, from high, and then from low, and then mid. And you can do this with a cable, because if you need high, I'm here. If I need here, I turn, then I go to the middle, here, and I start from the bottom. Here, and there. So with 1, 2, 3 single cable positions, I do all 8 positions. So I can do 8 positions with total movement, or with short movements, for hip mobility, total body training, or core stiffness. Those are my go-to 5 movements.
Got it. So speaking of core stiffness, let's get down to a question. We talk a lot about core stiffness here. What's your favorite analogy when we talk about core stiffness? We use an analogy about a bridge.
Yeah.
When bridging the gap between upper body strength and lower body strength, what's your favorite analogy to?
The favorite analogy is that, look, whether you're carrying a child or throwing a ball, it's all about transmitting forces from the ground to the fingers, right? And so anybody who's gone to Costa Rica or South America or has gone zip lining has probably need to go from one tree to another without the zip line, and you go through these rope bridges with these little wooden slats and these handles. And anybody who's been on that bridge knows that one person goes on that bridge real slow. And it takes you from this mass to that mass, whether it's a tree, land, whatever. Very slow movement, because this is very pliable and very flexible. Everybody knows that if you have a steel bridge, okay, with rafters this way all over the place, it'll carry you from here to here. It'll carry buses. So stiffness, pliability, and flexibility. This is nice for some things, but not to transfer power from one destination to the other. This is the floor, this is your hands, this is what we want.
That's my favorite analogy. Thanks. Love that. What's the best way to develop calf size besides your traditional standing calf raises?
Choose your parents well. Next question. Calves, like many other muscular designs or muscular looks, are genetic. Okay, so for example, I have short biceps. As you can see, they're wearing like Franco Columbo. Arnold Schwarzenegger had long biceps. They used to say, oh, do a lot of preacher because it'll stretch out. Nonsense. If it's short, it's going to be short. This is all tendon. My bicep curl is not going to be as strong as somebody who's got a full bicep that has more contractile proteins. All this is not contractile protein, that's tendon. Well, same thing with the calf. If you have a high calf where all of this is tendon and very little bit is contractile tissue, it is what it is. Short of an implant, you're not going to, you can grow that little ball up there, humongous, and you're still not going to have anything underneath. When you're running, you don't need contraction, you need stiffness. That's why you never see runners with huge calves. It's rare. All of your sprinters have high, thin lower bodies, high calves. Why? You don't want contraction. You just want to be able to hold and drive. So everybody thinks big calves are for looks, not for speed. For speed, tendons. Tendons, a little bit of calf. Because you don't need a whole lot of contraction there. You don't need a whole lot of movement. You just need the foot to stay at 90 degrees and go.
But if you are looking to develop bigger calves,
if you are looking to do bigger calves, you got to do bodybuilding. Yeah. Try to get 50 to 20 sets per week with a decent amount of load. Calves respond much better to 20 reps than to 10 reps. So there you have it.
There you go. All right. What do you think are some of the treatments for a runner's knee?
Runner's knees, generally speaking, give them a neo-hands. Because, for example, when I was training Cadre Ishmael, one of the fastest guys to ever play football, right? When he was stopping, he would stop and decelerate up high. So when you decelerate up high, this is what you're doing. It's almost like the old sissy squats, you know? So basically, he's doing single leg sissy squats up tall to decelerate. As soon as I had Cadre here, what did I do? Reaching lunges in the anterior. So he started to decelerate here. So he started using hamstring glute paraspinals to stop instead of knees. His knee pain went away. So if that's causing the knee pain, too much quad work, which is usually the case, you got two options. Make the quad stronger, which if they have a bad technique, they'll just throw more into the knee, so create bigger issue, or say, why is the quad being overworked? If it's a weak quad, you strengthen it. But if it's bad mechanics, it's because the quad is trying to do the work of the hamstring glute and paraspinals. If that's the case, the easiest way to do things is teach the backside how to flex eccentrically and concentrically extend the hip, eccentric and concentric hip extension, reaching lunges, anterior reaches, are going to solve a lot of the knee problems.
I think it's kind of segues into you get a similar answer here. Talking about how to get rid of shin splints and what are some of the corrective exercises we can do there.
Yeah, we don't even know really what causes shin splints. All we know is that when you weigh too much and you start putting a lot of stress on your ankles and of course knees and your whole, like sprinting and running long distance, when you gain weight, you get shin splints. So, my whole thing is, they don't know exactly what the mechanism is. My whole thing is, the only thing I can do as a strength coach is give them more strength. So, I have to give that ankle and that knee, especially the ankle, I have to give that ankle the strength you need to carry that additional weight, which is usually the reason I've seen shin splints. Okay, I've experienced shin splints, and it's always been when I gain weight and try to do long distance or even sprint. So my whole thing is a lot of calf work, stiffness, calf stiffness, because shin splints are from here and not being able to decelerate, to try to put on the brakes, and you don't put on the brakes. So the pumps that we do, you know, apart from the standard bodybuilding stuff, but the pumps that we do are huge here, and then you start skipping rope. A lot of people want to skip rope at 230 pounds when they're used to doing it 200 pounds, boom, there it is, done. Okay, don't use cardio to drop weight. Don't use running type cardio to drop weight when you're heavy, because you got a lot of problems coming. Use ellipticals, use bikes until you get down in weight, and meanwhile, make sure that you're giving your ankles all the pump that you need, so when you are down in the right weight and you take off, you don't have shin splints and you don't have stress fractures in the metatarsals, which can happen if you get too much power here without enough throwing.
working with boxers who make their living using their hands, do you prefer performing truck pushes over the prowler sled when you take into consideration their hand positions?
The hand position is almost a non-factor because the prowler's bars are like that, so basically you're going to be in here, maybe in there, but the dimension is so big, that circumference is so big that it really doesn't, it's not like you're pushing a half-inch bar. And on the truck, you're like this. Personally, I like the truck. I think the truck is sexier. We're here in Florida. It's a nice weather out there, and if it's hot, and athletes like to sweat, and you got the sun going, you get a tan, you get sweaty, and you're behind a navigator. It's a lot sexier than behind a prowler. Sorry, you know, my black navigator kicks. So, that kind of training for us is awesome. You get that ankle stiffness, you get the ball extension. It's beautiful. The hand position, no problems. Not even an issue.
What is the best time? Yeah, this is basically, I guess, your thoughts and your opinion. What is the best time to train for those that are diabetic and insulin dependent?
Best time? To tell you the truth, I don't know. Certainly, if you're diabetic, you have to control your glucose. So in the morning, it gets iffy because you haven't eaten for a while. So I wouldn't, certainly, if I was diabetic, I wouldn't be trying to do fasting cardio like it's very popular to do if you want to burn a little bit more fat. They say to do cardio before you put anything, especially in the morning. You do a little bit of black coffee, then you do your cardio. Supposedly you get more of a fat burn. How many more grams of fat you burn? I don't even think it's worth the consideration. But for diabetics, in the morning you got to regulate that glucose, so it's very important. So I would say mid-afternoon or certainly after breakfast.
Okay. What are some of the better exercises to improve kicking, as in soccer or punters or kickers in football?
Or martial arts.
Yeah, there you go.
Single leg stability. So anything with all your single legs here, but there's a couple of variations of the single legs that you youngsters haven't seen them because we used to do them here a lot. And we've gotten away from them because we have so many great exercises that frankly, I forget them, but they were awesome. We used to have the single leg triplanar squat. Okay, so we had squatting in the sagittal plane, squatting in the frontal plane, and then squatting in the transverse plane. This is what we call a triplanar, right? So we started working on, okay, why? ACL prehabilitation, right? ACL rupture prehabilitation. So you know that boom, bam, there's your ACL, or landing here. Okay, so you have two ways the ACL ruptures. Extending while rotation and flexing while rotation. So we then developed two types of triplanar squatting. One starts rotation low, and then you stand up. Boom, boom, and you plant, and then as you get better, you don't plant. Boom, boom. And then the other one was here. You extended, rotated, and then you went down. Rotated, down. And then to start, here. Here, and then when you're good, boom, 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 boom. So that rotational single leg is awesome. Awesome. Especially this one. And then here, here. Because when you're kicking, you have a little bit of flexion, and then you're open. So there's your squat. So that triplanar squat is probably perfect. And then anything that's here, across the front, your high to lows, crossing knee tucks, and X ups. Perfect. That's a new one. How long has it been since you haven't seen a triplanar squat? Remember that?
Yeah, when I worked with Dustin, we used to do those in the
I mean, Mike Flynn used to win on those too. Those are just things that there's how the saying is, you have forgotten more than I have learned. When you've been here 11, 12, 15 years, we have forgotten more than some of you guys will learn over the next 5 years. Forgotten, which is not a good thing.
How would you explain functional training to someone who's walking down the street?
We train movements, not muscles. Simple. If I'm in an elevator, I gotta say something, all right, from the first floor to the second floor, we train movements, not isolated muscles. And they'll ask, what do you mean movements? Well, if we're gonna tie our shoe, we train this movement. We don't train the back, we don't train the hamstring, we don't train the calf, and we don't train the latissimus. What about it? You know, when you back, we train the entire chain. We just don't train the abdominals. So the first thing is we train movements, not muscles, and then you give them 2 or 3 examples. Done.
Okay, I think we got one more question left to make sure we haven't missed anything. Okay, so we're going to wrap it up with this last question. What's going on for the rest of the year for you in IHP?
Well, all October is travel. Mexico, Asia, and Ecuador. I think it's 6 or 7 countries in 4 weeks. Then November, I may be going to Azerbaijan and train their team. One of their elite gold medal hopefuls took a silver medal. She was winning 3-2, and she was winning 1-2 and lost 3. She was winning 2-0 and lost 3-2 in the last 45 seconds. And when we interviewed the entire female team, all they kept saying is we need more strength and endurance, more strength and endurance. So I would be in Azerbaijan the 1st of October if they had it their way, but it's a little bit too early for me because I'm booked all October. So if they want to do the business, that's where I'm going to be in November, Azerbaijan for a week. And then in December, I'm here with all of Brazil, that seems to be coming, the entire country, to do the biggest mentorship in IHP history. We'll probably have close to 25 to 30 people. We don't even know where we're going to put them, how we're going to get them there, but it's going to happen. So we have the most exciting quarter in IHP history here. And the release of the book.